welcome. We'll be talking today about Airbnb's 2025 summer updates. We'll be talking about strategy, we'll be talking about the new tools for hosts, we'll be talking about the experiences, the new services, whether you can offer yours or whether you can actually refuse to host these things at your place. Um, Airbnb is a social network, quite a few things, hopefully. So we'll get started as usual. Meanwhile, so it's on time and trying to be on time for once. I think this is kind of great reflection of that glasses. We try to do that. All right. So, hey, I'm Thibault from Price Labs and Rental Scale Up. Our goal is to help you get the most of Airbnb's 2025 summer updates. We have a live chat. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Stingda. So, feel free to say hello. Feel free to leave me any comments. I will try. This is live, so I will try, obviously, to share my screen to show you what I'm talking about. Without further ado, thanks for all everybody's live here. This is obviously being recorded as usual. You get the recording. But let me first start with saying what's happening. So basically, yesterday, Airbnb released its summer 2025 release. So twice a year, Airbnb basically packs together a lot of the dates in the winter for the summer and makes some noise around it. So yesterday, it was a live event, in the sense that Brian Chesky was on stage and talked for about an hour about what was new. So I've seen some comments online. People were like, "Yeah, all this for this, disappointed." I think, as usual, right? If you ever work for a big company, or it's like a big ship. Yes, on the surface, you're like, "Oh, that's what it is." But then, if you dig a bit deeper, you're like, "Oh wow, there's a new engine down there. There's all this." So I want to go not just about the surface, but dig deeper and talk about what it's all enabling them, right? So again, there was a lot of expectations, in the sense that Airbnb says 2025 is something new for them. They intend to launch two new verticals, so activities in a way, per year, and that they've earmarked 200 to 250 million dollars to market these activities, right? Obviously, if you're going to offer something new supply, you have to have the team to recruit the supply, onboard the supply, and other things, right? Imagine somebody booked your short-term rental space, right? Your property, or that of an owner who trusts you. By default, and now a guest can book a service like a chef or a photographer. They can book this service on Airbnb and have this service take place at your property, and by default, it's an opt-in. So you must contact Airbnb's customer service to say, no, I don't want that happening at my place. Imagine, right? If there's a chef, very talented, but suddenly there's a fire in the kitchen. So are we talking about this? Obviously, there's some liability insurance in place, but it's interesting, right? By default, these activities can happen at your place. Another dimension as well is that the social network one. It's been very interesting, and I've been talking about this for a while. That Airbnb is always talking about the fact that they want to fight loneliness. It's a big loneliness crisis, right? And they have so many data on so many of us, not only where we go, where we travel, but a lot of hosts and guests have shared information such as like their favorite song, when they went to high school, and it's what a gold mine for Airbnb. What they're going to enable now, we're going to see this, for example, if you book an experience, if you book the experience before the trip, before the experience, after the experience, you can have a group chat and chat with the people and keep connected, stay connected with some of these people even after the trip, after the experience, right? So they are building a social network with people that you met in real life and with whom you did real activities. So you can see the value here we have here, and it's supposed to be a positive social network, not a negative social network. We'll talk about that. And the third point here is that indeed there's a few. What's interesting, if you're personal vacation rental managers, you may not need this, but there are quite a few new tips, new host tools to guide exactly hosts into what to do as a booking arrives. For example, closer to the stay, you get more information, more nudges into like, remember you have a stay coming tomorrow. Remember to share this and that. And same thing on the guest side, right? They have a great interface as a whole trip. And where example, they have like the stay they booked, the experience they booked. As they get closer to the date, it appears here, even in a trip line appears the code to the door to get into your place. It's pretty smooth, and I think it does help everybody, every one of us, have maybe less requests from messages from guests panicking that I need to have the code. It's in the flow. All right, so as I promised, I'm going to start sharing stuff. So what did Airbnb exactly announce? You can Airbnb more than an Airbnb. What's interesting, you can see that Airbnb has always been proud that they're a verb, they're a noun, right? They're trying to change what the verb means to Airbnb. Normally is that you are supposed to put your place out and have people stay at your place. But apparently, to Airbnb, they probably want it to mean offer any kind of service to anybody else. The most obvious thing, if you go to the interface, you see now new logos for experiences and services, right? Um, you have stays, experiences, and services. Services, again, the idea, we'll go into this, but the idea is that you can book services from a professional. So normally they're super, super vetted professional people with a lot of degrees of experience, and they can go to the idea they can deliver a service at mostly, let's say, at the place booked, right? For example, a chef, for example, a massage or hairdresser or personal trainer coming at the short-term rental space and delivering some kind of service. And it's supposed to be very, very vetted. It's like not everybody can offer this. Um, and you see in a flow, it's very easy to book this service. And talk about limitations. They also relaunched experiences. Now, experiences, the issue with experiences, in the end, it was not really working because one, it was not really integrated into the flow. And what they're going to do, because they wrote the whole interface, the whole app, they will be able to suggest as you get closer to the stay date, for example, to suggest to you activities to do, or maybe based on your profile. So it's getting smarter. Also, what they did, they really as well, they tried to come up with different categories of stays, of experiences. And the idea for them is to make it very unique, right? So in a way, it's about the food scene, art galleries, or again, sports, maybe outdoor culture. And they want to make it unique. What's interesting as well, I was looking at the price point. It's pretty expensive. I mean, if you want to offer something unique, of course, it's going to be expensive. And we're going to talk about this as well. Also, what's interesting here is also have Airbnb Originals. Airbnb Originals it's like experiences created by Airbnb with celebrities. It's good for the buzz. And as I said, what's very important here that, again, maybe all this you like, oh, it's just easy. It's just that spectacular. I thought they would be doing like car sharing. I thought they would be doing something completely different. But it makes sense, right? It's a strategy where they have to be adjacent. So they know you're booking short-term rentals, offering services in a short-term rental looks like next step, for example, to them, or offering experiences outside of short-term rental where you are. But to do all this and suggest all this and offer these new services and make room to add more category, they need to rewrite the app. So that's what's interesting here. And that the app basically, as you get, for example, closer to the stay date or at the location, you're going to get recommendations which are better. As well as I said, I'm going to cover this. They also have an idea that they're creating a social network. But let me go back to the strategy. So if you follow along me, basically, one, Airbnb has an Amazon-style strategy, right? Amazon starting with books, then added CDs, then videos, then now they sell everything to clothing to batteries. That's called adjacent in the sense that you are moving to other opportunities that are close to your core business. So here, what's interesting is that Airbnb has already been offering experiences. They launched it because it didn't work. They better curated, let's say, and it's also a higher price point and more unique. So it does mean they're not going after mass, right? And they're going more curated experiences, and a high price point, I would say. And basically usually experiences will take place outside of your home. Where services will take place at the home, right? As I said, if you're a host, you are opted in. Basically, if a guest books a chef, you're not even told about it. You have to opt out if you want, but this commercial activity will take place at your commercial space. So I was thinking about this, and I'm like, well, I think in a lot of countries, you may run into regulations. So are you able to? Anyway, so we'll see about that. But it is very interesting to me. But for services as well, services they it's something you can book while you are in a city and live there at your own home, right? So the experiences usually are for travelers or tourists. Services, on the other hand, if I have a party tomorrow, as you may know, I broke my elbow. I can't really cook. I may have a chef come over and cook for us. Why not at home? That's possible. So that's where Airbnb is going. Beyond travel, they basically want us to use their app, not just a few times a year for a trip, but their goal is to have us use the app once a week at least. So for that, it means they have to get into our personal life way more. And services is one way to do this because maybe I can, ask for again a chef to come over or a massage at home. Why not? And but this is where as well the whole network, social network is important. Again, you in your in your personal profile, host profile now, they're going to show you the connections you have, right? People maybe you met, you stayed in touch with. You meet people doing experiences. I say you want to stay in touch, you can, and share memories, share photos together. The idea again for Airbnb is that suddenly you also have not just transactions but relations, right? Usually the relation with the host dies, for example, after the transaction, right? We're not even allowed to contact these people normally, right? The contact dies. Here, they want people to stay connecting among themselves. That gives a lot of value to Airbnb. But you think about it as well, it's also not a social network open to everybody, right? Social network, there's 200 million verified, people in there. So it's not like Twitter. If you pay, random person could be verified, right? And you think about this, a lot of time it's been people who have actually traveled, who've stayed places, have spent money. And as I told about, I said, right, for example, I was looking at service like a break. The Chad Brancheski yesterday shared something around an example of service, like a breakfast Mexico City, cooked at home by a chef. Well, it's $45 per person. I was like, oh, well, for four people, it's like $180 for a breakfast in Mexico City. That's pretty expensive. But I don't think it's trying to go in mass here. I don't think so. I'm reading things about how they're going to scale. In a way, I'm like, I don't think they want. And if you look at Booking.com has an approach which is very scale, right? It's like scalable. I'm going to offer tickets to, I don't know, the Louvre Museum in Paris, for example, make it easy for people to book what they would book anyway. Here, they want to be unique because things are easier to market. And also, it is a higher price point, which does mean, if they take 15% commission, let's say on something, it's making more money for them, right? That makes sense. But again, it does mean that the community of people you have here, it's a community of people who spend money, spend good money. So think about the value for this, right? And so it's a community on which they have a lot of data, a lot of that's a lot of value, right? This and think about the extension you can have, right? Why not? As I was talking, in one of the articles last year, I was talking about Airbnb friendly buildings, right? Right now, already on Airbnb, if you want to, you can find a place to stay for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years as a tenant. Social profiles, tenancy. How about roommates? How about Airbnb now allowing me to find roommates very easily? Don't tell my family I want to do that. Obviously, it's an example. Um, right? But imagine this, right? They can match me with AI, with all the data they have about me. They can match me, and also I'm vetted in a way, with other people I may find interesting to share a place with, an Airbnb friendly building, right? And how about dating? I mean, once again, the idea is that you stay connected with people you meet at during experiences, and you must stay connected. I can't help but think that there's going to be a lot of romantic encounters here. And I talk about the dangers about this. But again, that's the goal, right? And the strategy is unlike they're building their own social network, the social network which is normally positive, real people. And so it's a layer. It's not just online, right? It's a connected. It's a social network, if you will, of people who have done stuff offline. So it's like real people. So it is very interesting again of the value of that network versus fake profiles, bots, and people just renting all day. Very different idea. So this does mean that then they can because it's the background, it's the first thing they're doing. Will be successful everything? I don't know, but even to them they say maybe will not be successful or not, right? But car sharing could be a good example, right? I'm staying at a place, maybe I need transportation, why not? And maybe the owner can offer me a car. Who knows? I'm just thinking out loud. Yes, thank you. All right. So quickly, I want to go over. I got 30 minutes left. I want to go over the. I will go back again to services, experiences, and the rule. But I quickly want to cover the tools for hosts. You see, basically, in the new as a host, you can opt in to have early access to these new tools, right? And I've done that. Basically, they've rejigged a bit interface again, and they, as I said earlier, they, especially for smaller hosts, this sort of a hand holding virtual co-hosting happening in the sense that they are really making sure that you can see what's happening to you today or what's the next step for you, right? Don't forget to do a few things. So the today tab has been redesigned, and you can see, obviously, just like now, your current upcoming reservations. But what's new as well, you can add notes on, I don't know, like for example, somebody said they were, um, I don't know if you're gonna stock the fridge, but somebody said they were vegan, so you can at least stock a fridge with stuff that makes sense if you want to do that. And also they give you tips, for example, and they remind you, for example, they prompt you, for example, to ask guests how things are going, right? So it's really, in a way, they're trying to somewhat automate good service for this. So another point I'll quickly mention is the calendar. Again, if you go on listing level, right? So it's especially true for hosts, right? Obviously, if you're using a smart pricing tool, as you should, this is deactivated. But here, if you're not using dynamic pricing, either from a tool like Price Labs or from even Airbnb smart pricing tool, you can go to the calendar of the listing and get suggestions, such as, for example, what to price, how to price, how much to charge for tonight, and you get some tips on why charge this price. Tell you more about the demand, more about things. So that's interesting. So it's a step into, like, I can go to the calendar, I can click directly into the calendar and take action to close a night, for example, adjust my pricing, my minimums, put a discount straight into the calendar. As we know, it's a big functionality that most people like because you want to see and take action usually, right? All right. Another point I want to share, they've basically made it clear. They rearranged the listing tabs, right? You can see all your listings. They're a bit more clear, but it's there. Messages. I think they just made it. One of the main points is making photos easier to share, to highlight a few things. And another one, if you are not on instant booking but on request to book, it's very clear. Um, it's very clear. Yes, I see Hummingbird Vacation Rentals say that you are at a 135 night, is just 35 and under. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. So I don't know if you have a new listing or not. Probably not, but that's what's interesting as well is that basically, right? Remember that the price is suggesting. So the difference with that the interest for Airbnb as well is to match their demand and the supply on Airbnb, right? And obviously, if you use a third-party dynamic pricing tool, for example, where you offer your place directly or on Airbnb and Booking and Vrbo, for example, you're exposed to more demand. And you also have a tool that usually whose mission is to optimize your revenue, not find the balance in the marketplace. So you can see how probably indeed that's different. So indeed, yeah. So thank you. You have the listing for a while. So hopefully, what I say makes sense. And I agree with you. It tends to do things. And again, it's a tool mostly for smaller hosts, but again, hopefully they have in mind their interest. All right, and last thing as well, there's a menu and a menu on the side of the on the app where you can find access to insights and the rest. What they've surfaced is the earnings you've had and your, for example, your recent score. Again, that's really mostly for hosts who only use the app as a sort of mini PMS, right? That's the idea, surfacing this and guiding them on delivering great service. Something now I want to talk about. I want to go back to services. Um, so let me try to do something. Uh, I will try to stop sharing here. Right. So let me go back to services. So the idea of services that guests can book vetted professionals. So normally people have been doing stuff in years, not just like me saying I'm going to be a chef tomorrow. So normally they have vetted professionals who can will go to your listings, basically to your property, mostly. It goes to take place at their place, but mostly the idea is that going to take place at their property. And as I said, cook, give a massage, or cut the hair, or give makeup. I must say, that's something I do with one of my properties. We have, I mean, since that I have concierge service, so we offer some of this, but as well, my guests, we are in a luxury location. They have the money for that. I don't, but they do, and they do have their hairdresser come over. They do have sometimes even a makeup artist come over. Oh, chef, that's very frequent. I don't earn any money on this, but obviously, what I do have good insurance that allows me to do this in case something happens. So obviously, what Airbnb says that first you are opted in, right? In the sense that if a guest book, um, um, you are I don't you have checked again, but you're not notified. I think is there private thing if it does taking place at your place. You can opt out if you want. And they said they have their, let me read this, their liability coverage for the under the air cover thing, just like we have for homes, there's also for services and experiences. That's interesting. Again, I'm really wondering about the fine lines in terms of like, if I'm in a some kind of shared building where I could only get a permit to host, and now it's turning into a restaurant. Would my neighbors say no? They're turning this into a restaurant. Will I lose my license authorization to be a host? I don't know. I'm just maybe being too paranoid here, but it is interesting. What's interesting as well is that I cannot offer my service for the moment. You could not offer your own service here. What they're saying is that you to give service or you can refer, but what they're telling hosts for the moment, they say, oh, just look at the catalog of services in your region and choose the one you like and contact the service provider, and maybe when some people book at your place, just recommend the ones you like, or $100 if you refer somebody. That's interesting, but obviously you can see what's missing, right? It's like we would like to offer our own services, so normally that's possible. If you use the app to ask for payment for a service, but it's not like you in the catalog of services, right? So I'm guessing it's coming. I'm just guessing that when you launch a product, it's kind of tricky to enable all this at the same time, that you're a host and you offer these other services, this and that. It's probably for the moment a bit siloed on a supply side. For experiences, I explain it's relaunched. To me, what's interesting is the whole group chat, right? I can chat before, and that's coming soon. I could chat before and after the experiences. I can see who's coming. Again, if you understand the social value they're trying to get there, it's very key. It's very key, right? They don't want this to be anonymous, and they want the connections to stay post experience. But again, for the moment, there's nothing where I can really bundle an experience on my own as a host, right? Probably it's coming. That would make sense. That would make sense, I'm guessing, especially as we know the Airbnb off-platform policy has been rolled out and makes it sometimes a bit tricky to understand whether we can send links to upsell services straight to the app or not. Um, which makes sense because now they're offering services and experiences, right? That's I told you it was coming, and that was probably why we're doing this. But again, I think it's work in progress. It's being launched. Everybody is smart enough to make things work and to make sure we also are happy offering this kind of services at some point, because that would make sense, right? Um, Let me wrap up, finish on something which I said was the social network. Um, the value of social network here again is, I don't want to underplay this, but if you have a good active base where people start booking a service in my city, I think of Airbnb. You know what? I need a hairdresser at home. I need a chef. I'm going to turn not to the specialized apps and services that already exist, because it's not like there's nothing existing, right? Airbnb has to compete, for example, with, in Europe we have Treatwell, which is an app just like in the US you have, that's has all the hairdressers, salons, or everything, massage, everything you want, right? So they have to compete with this. That's why I don't think they want to list everything possible. They want to offer some services the high price point, once they get a nice commission. But that's the value of the social network here, is that if you have people even active enough, at some point it means they can launch other services offered by the community, right? In these people, as just we all are both hosts and guests on Airbnb, right? Remember the it's just like the app is always two-sided, right? I'm a host, I'm a guest, I'm a host, I'm a guest. Here's like, maybe you have a car, I could offer some. Not saying they said maybe they could have a car, I could offer my car on Airbnb. Why not, right? All kind of things they could be doing. But the social network is interesting because, again, that's the reason why you would open the app often, is because you may want to chat with someone or reconnect with someone or see photos, right? It's just like I look at WhatsApp to see what's new or who contacted me, or I'm part of groups, right? So because of that dimension, that would make me to check on my friends, that would make me turn maybe to Airbnb to see what's happening on the social side, and expose me to stuff to buy, right? Obviously, right? Like, oh, I'm on Airbnb. Oh, what about booking things, looking what other people have done? So it is interesting. So Brian Chesky was saying that they see their social network being a positive force, not negative. Yeah. So in a nutshell, again, um, if you look at the app, there's been a lot of work redesigning everything to prepare for more apps. Will every vertical they're going to launch be successful? No, they said so. They're experimenting, right? Here, they've just been logical. They're offering things while you're staying at a place, short stay, but also they start offering things at your home, right? You can see the move where they want you to use it at home. Um, for the moment, am I impressed by the things offered? Well, yes and no, in the sense that I like it for where it's going. And obviously, when I look at what's being offered in terms of services, for example, for a lot of categories, things are empty. There's not much because it takes a while to have the supply. As I told you, on supply side, I've read a few, part of some groups. I can see how difficult it is. Um, but you know what? I think we're all entrepreneurs, maybe once sold, or we work in tech, and we know things are not decided day one sometimes, right? You have to launch, you have to make it work, and you have enough volume. I guess they probably wanted to have more to show at the launch on this, in terms of quantity of services and experiences, but that's interesting. Got a couple more time. Any questions you may have in chat, let me know. As usual, this is being recorded. You'll find the recording. Uh, I will share more of my thoughts. Um, would you say this is more for smaller hosts or professional hosts may already use rent mount, the co-host code, etc.? Yeah, it's very interesting. Um, for the moment, it's siloed, right? It's not like as a host, I can use my profile to propose a service or experience, but they have to be vetted and the rest, right? For the moment, I don't see this. Um, yes, certainly they are going after smaller hosts, in the sense that they're going after anyone who can be a small entrepreneur and build their business on the Airbnb platform and depend from Airbnb, right? They want you, just like a lot of people only have their homes on Airbnb. They probably much prefer people who depend completely on Airbnb for this, so this can be unique, and they also have pricing power. Remember that. So yes, probably it's for smaller ones, I'm guessing. Um, is there a sign that Airbnb is worried regulations are bigger challenge than they are in technology in this point? Hence, this diversification. Um, well, let's just say that Airbnb is still growing, right? To be clear, for example, in Japan, in Germany, they have a lot of room to grow in other. They have 5 countries, which are Australia, Canada, UK, US, and France, where they do 70% of their business in these five countries. Obviously, they're growing fast in Japan, Brazil, and Germany, and investing a lot in Korea, South Korea, and going back into China a bit. So you can see they have more room on the short-term rental estate to grow, but indeed they want to kickstart other engines of growth. Maybe indeed they're afraid short-term rentals can be regulated in a way. It's true, but also it's notion of share of wallet in the sense that I have you as somebody to trip with me, saying booking a trip with me. Why don't I try to sell you other stuff, right? Because I have a lot of information on you. Suddenly, I go, where you're going and when. That's also the idea here, I think. All right. So I hope it was useful. We are at time. Obviously, that was my first reactions. Um, you can count on us at Price Labs Rentals Club to give you more advice, more. But all this week we are going to have articles, other deep dives on different tools. And with you, somebody saying that. Sorry, Ginger, you're saying that they to refocus on the core business. Um, yeah, I agree. I agree with you that they refocus on their core business. That was a good attempt. Um, Hopefully, it's not too much of a distraction for them to have to do all these at the same time. It's hard, right? But that's what they say. They don't go after easy, um, right? So hopefully, it makes sense. To me, it's a launch of something new, new verticals. Um, Even if they can just sell a few services and get a good commission on it. That's already increasing. Let's see what goes. Let's see it goes. I would be very interested. And to me, again, it's mostly about look at all the data they're harvesting on people and profile and things. That's got in terms of AI. When AI needs so much data on people, that's very interesting. There's a lot of money in there. A lot of money in the social side. All right. Thank you all. I wish you a great day. Cheers.